My daughter sunk me on social media after her friend's false accusation of abuse because she believes all women. But now she can believe a judge who is left without my money. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. I'm 38 years old and a man. I would describe my relationship with my 17-year-old daughter as unstable. I love her as much as any parent loves their child, but I must admit that the teenage years have been a challenge. I hope this doesn't sound like I'm lamenting the good old days when I was a kid and everything was simpler because, honestly, it was never easy. Her mother and I are not together currently. We never were. I admit that what we had was a casual, drunken encounter in college during the summer before my junior year. She had already graduated, as I recall. We used protection, and she definitely told me she was on birth control, but sometimes things happen. I wasn't interested in adoption or other options, and 9 months later, we welcomed our little girl. I really tried to make it work between us. Unfortunately, my drunk 20-year-old self wasn't the best judge of character after a night of college partying. The woman I ended up getting pregnant with didn't turn out to be someone I could have a long-term relationship with. I'm being nice here, or rather, any relationship. Let's call her Steph. Steph seemed great in the middle of the night while we were both drunk, but being pregnant and trying to make it work between us was very different. I'm not saying I was a blameless saint. Okay, I was a college student in my 3rd year. Of course, I wasn't a saint by any means, but I feel like I did the best I could to make our relationship work. She's not the kind of person with whom you can make it work. To avoid harsher words, I will say that she is selfish and arrogant. The moment she found out that my parents had some money, she refused to make any effort to support herself, since that was, according to her words, the job of a good man. Our relationship, if you can call it that, didn't make it to the end of her 2nd trimester. I tried not to hold a grudge against her. We were young, we were dumb, and we had a child on the way. When she blamed me from a hospital room, but still expected my parents to foot the bill, I didn't say a word. I was in a waiting room while she prohibited me from entering until the nurses let me meet my daughter Madison in the ICU. It was perfect. She went home with her mom, but we agreed that I would be there as much as possible because she was my daughter too. Steph quickly broke that agreement and prevented me from seeing Madison according to her mood. For her 1st birthday, we already had a formal custody agreement that was very much in Steph's favor because I was still in college while she was able to stay home with Madison. The court-ordered support payment was not very high, considering I had just started working, but my parents were more than generous with their only granddaughter. So, Steph lived off that money. The first few years were some of the best and worst. Dealing with Steph was never pleasant, but Madison was a blessing, no matter how unexpected. Being able to see her was worth putting up with her mother a million times over, and I never let any of our problems get in the way of that. Each following year, it got harder as Madison grew older. As daughters often do, she got very close to her mother, and many of Steph's opinions became her own. Considering that Steph doesn't like me very much, you can imagine what that meant. When Madison was 10 years old, she would throw a tantrum every time she had to see me, and much more if she had to spend the weekends. Typical teenage anger, you know? It seems that aggravated the problem. I'm not an absent father. I see my daughter as much as I can, which, thanks to the court-ordered custody agreement she herself asked for when she was a teenager, is every other weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I don't see her for 2 weeks. She makes no effort to hide the fact that she doesn't want to be here. I will do my best. Her room is stocked with everything she's asked for, and I make sure all her favorite snacks and drinks are always available. I plan activities and things to do together, but I respect her decision if she says no, which she practically always does. Last year, my daughter started inviting her friends over every time she came to my house. It could be a whole group or just one, but there was always someone here with her. The most frequent visitor is Claire. I'm afraid I've left the important thing for last because the situation that brought me here has less to do with Madison and more to do with Claire. I just wanted to explain where it all started. This weekend was my time to be with my daughter. As always, an hour or two after Madison arrived on Friday, she invited Claire to come. This time, Claire was going to stay for the entire duration of Madison's visit. The last thing I want is to kick out her friend and give her another reason to hate me, besides everything her mother has told her about me. So I didn't say anything about it. I never do, no matter how off guard it takes me when her friends show up or what she has planned. I don't want Madison to completely hate her time here. From what I knew before this weekend, Claire is a nice girl, maybe a little talkative and with a tendency to overshare, but overall a nice person. She spends most of her time here locked in Madison's room. She doesn't really come out of there. All I knew was that she just stayed in that space. I wish it had stayed that way because last night, when I went down to the kitchen for a glass of water, Claire came in, saying she thought she heard me come down the stairs. I smiled, asked her if she wanted water too, pointed out where the glasses were, although I'm sure she already knew, and was about to leave. She didn't move from the threshold, even when it was clear that I wanted to go through, and she raised her hand almost to touch my chest, but I moved away. She told me that she needed to tell me something. She said that she had been struggling with it for months, and that 2 weeks ago, she made a decision. Now, she has finally managed to find me alone. She said something like she knew I was Madison's father, that she loved how I always made time for her, made sure she had everything she wanted, and really cared for her. She said she found all those qualities incredibly attractive. It was at that moment I started to feel that the conversation was taking a strange turn. From the beginning, I felt a little uncomfortable, but from that point on, alarm bells started ringing. She said that she found me incredibly attractive and that I should be alone for weeks when Madison wasn't here. She offered to keep me company during that time. Guys, I'm a grown man, I'm almost 40 years old. It was clear to me that an 18-year-old girl was trying her best to show interest in me, even though I'm the father of one of her best friends. It was extremely inappropriate, but she is a child, and I tried to reject her kindly. I explained to her exactly what I just wrote. I'm too old, I'm her friend's father. This was inappropriate, and although she is a lovely girl, I see her more as a daughter than anything else. Only when she insisted again, trying to convince me to give her a chance, did I make the boundaries clear. I wasn't interested in giving her any chance. I'm an adult, yes, but in every other way, she's a child. I don't know exactly what it was that made the message clear to her, but after a while, she just nodded without saying a word and ran up the stairs. Considering it was almost 4 a.m., I put my glass in the dishwasher and went to sleep. By the time I woke up this morning, Claire was already gone. Apparently, she packed her bags just then and called an Uber at 6 a.m. From Madison's curt mood, I've deduced that Claire didn't explain her sudden departure to her friend. Madison has to go home tomorrow, which basically means I have 24 hours to decide if this is a topic I want to discuss with her, and if I do, how the hell will I do it? I do worry that I was a little too harsh in rejecting Claire's advances, but I also feel that it was necessary. I know that Madison won't see it that way. She'll just hear that I was horrible to her friend, and she'll have something new to blame me for. Any advice on how to handle this situation would be greatly appreciated. Is it something I even have to deal with? Should I just let it go and avoid Claire's absolute embarrassment? I don't know. Update 1. Good. I guess bewildered is a good word to describe how I've felt for the past few hours. I've already contacted my lawyer, so please don't send me comments telling me to get off the internet and seek legal representation. I already did it. You'll see this is my way of processing everything, so keep scrolling if you don't want to read this. Read my previous post if you want context for this to have meaning. My daughter Madison came home on Sunday afternoon, a little earlier than usual. She said she had plans, so it wasn't something I gave much thought to, especially considering she was supposed to be with me next weekend to make up for some lost custody time last month. I ran out of time because her mother, Steph, took her to a wedding on her side of the family. Well, Steph texted me last night, telling me not to expect Madison this weekend. I replied, asking for an explanation, but all she said was that Madison was determined not to come to my house or see me ever. She added that I could talk to my own daughter if I wanted to know more, because she was not my go-between. I called Madison, but the call was not answered. I thought maybe she was busy. I texted her, asking to talk. 2 hours later, I saw that right after I called her, she made a post on her public Instagram story. It was a screenshot of my call with a text saying she couldn't believe her predator father was trying to call her. A few minutes later, she posted another screenshot, this time of my message asking to talk, with the added comment that I must be trying to cover my tracks, but she wasn't going to let me talk my way out of this. Guys, I called Steph right away, asking her why our daughter was calling me that. All she said was that she wasn't an intermediary and that if Madison did not want to talk with me, that was her problem. Then she added that I should stop trying to pressure teenage girls to do what I want. That last comment caught my attention, and I pressed her, asking what she was talking about. Again, she just repeated that it was not her job to explain anything to me, and then hung up the call. I kept trying to reach Madison, but then I saw that she had posted more stories. Due to the nature of the situation, I will keep the details of what she posted sparse, but it was essentially a blank screen with a few lines of text. The text explained how I attacked her friend Claire in a very serious way when they stayed with me last weekend, and that Claire had just told her. She continued to say that she would always believe and support the victim, and that she believed in all women. Although she was shocked and disgusted that her father was capable of such a thing, she would support Claire for being brave enough to tell it. The stories were extensive, but vague on the details of what she claimed happened. However, the main accusation, that I somehow assaulted Claire, remained. Claire said that she left the house in a panic shortly after that. Guys, I'm not an idiot. I know how serious something like this is, and although I did not do any of what I am accused of, I promise you that I have seen situations like this go wrong for people. I contacted my lawyer immediately and let him advise me on the next steps. The first step was to create a record of every post, every story, and every statement made. Then I had to try to contact Steph to better understand what was going on and how it came to this. Today is Tuesday. It has been 2 days since Madison was in my house, 3 since Claire was, and I still don't know what could have caused something like this. Update 2. Wow. I wish I could say that everything is cleared up or that it was a bad dream or something, but things have actually gotten worse since my last update. It's not even Saturday. It's not even been a week yet since the day my daughter's friend tried to confess her feelings to me, and now she's posting online, claiming that I was the one who came onto her in the middle of the night in my kitchen and did inappropriate things. That's the summary, by the way. Madison still hasn't talked to me, but Claire has decided to intervene. Social networks are exploding, thanking Madison for supporting her even though I am her father and for being so brave in standing up to me. My lawyer has one of his interns or something keeping track of all the posts. Since neither my daughter nor her friend have private accounts, they informed me of this after it started. I have uninstalled all my social media apps for the time being, but I have been advised not to deactivate anything or make any drastic changes. I have not done anything. I don't need to act like I am guilty. In the past 3 days, Madison and Claire have been very active on their social media, even making a live video where their followers asked questions about what happened. All this was recorded by my lawyer. So far, it has been a mix of posts and stories that disappear after 24 hours and long essays with a black screen and white text on what happened and Claire's emotional state. Guys, I'm not going to detail everything for the sake of my privacy and because I just don't want to reread what's already been said. I can't see how people are responding to all of this other than the live video, which had 2 viewers who interacted with them. They have assured me that the scope of their accusations is due to the fact that their accounts are small, but to be frank, that doesn't make me feel better. At any moment, it could go viral, and everything would be even worse. I have been delaying making a public statement because I wanted to talk to my daughter before doing it, and because my lawyer has advised me to do so. Well, I got my wish. She actually answered my call this afternoon when she got home from school. She spent the entire conversation ignoring everything I said, telling me I was disgusting and that she was ashamed of being my daughter. She said, and I quote, "Rich white men think they own everything and everyone, and no matter what she says, I would always believe a woman." She added that all men are guilty until proven innocent, and that I am guilty. Guys, there is no proof on either end. I wish I had cameras in my kitchen or that my doorbell camera would miraculously have captured everything that's going on in this house, but there's absolutely nothing that can prove what really happened. No matter how much I deny Claire's claims, Madison has made it clear that my words are not enough for her. Her father is a pervert and will never come back to my home. Update 3. Here I am, marking a week of this strange hell in which I woke up. My daughter doesn't want to be my daughter anymore. We haven't had a good relationship since she was a little girl. I know every negative opinion her mother has about me is burned into her mind at this point, and there's very little I can do to change that, but I've tried. I think that despite everything, I've done my best to be a good father to her, even if in the last few years, all she wanted from me was my checkbook. I've done everything I can. There's a point in every father's life in which you have to accept that your child is no longer a child. They are responsible for their own actions, even if they still live under your roof and you love them madly. Part of me has never wanted to accept that Madison is growing up. She's pretty much grown up at this point. Maybe it's because I feel like I've missed out on so much time with her, or because I feel like I'm always dealing with the parts of her that come from her mother. It's like I just blinked, and suddenly she's almost an adult who hates me. Accepting that her hatred is entirely her own, and not just an extension of her mother, is probably the part I'm struggling with the most. If I could turn back time and change things, I don't even know what I would change. Steph has never been an easy person to deal with, no matter what she's done. I can't imagine a scenario where Madison and I would have had a better relationship. I'm just destined to be hated by my own daughter, no matter what I do. That's passion or self-awareness. I haven't had any luck trying to get a hold of Madison since our call, but her mother showed up at my door a few hours ago with an envelope of papers and that stupid smug grin on her face. She was talking about how she always knew I wasn't cut out to be a father, but never really thought it would be this bad. Guys, she was filing papers to terminate my parental rights. I doubt she could have gotten them overnight considering I just spoke to Madison yesterday, but everything was already signed, both by and for Madison. Each page was dated yesterday. All I have to do is put my signature on the initial page and a few others, and legally, I will no longer be Madison's father. Steph says Madison can't even stand the thought of me at this moment and came home from school the day before and signed everything right away before speaking with me. So now I know why Madison decided to answer my call. It was, according to her, the last time she would have to talk to her disgusting father. Steph's visit was not just to deliver the papers. Mainly, she came to gloat about how much better a mother she is. The only thing I've been able to do in the last few hours is send a photo of each page to my attorney. I'll update you once I know what's going on. Update 4. Maybe everything I'm about to write contradicts my claim that I am not and have never been an irresponsible father, but I feel this was the best decision I could have made under the circumstances. My attorney agrees. Both Claire and Madison received cease and desist notices. Madison was becoming more and more combative with each attempt I made to talk to her about everything. Even I knew it wouldn't be a good idea to initiate any kind of contact with Claire, supervised or not, given the accusations she was making and her willingness to tell the world about it on Instagram. Having my lawyer handle everything with Claire was the only sensible option. Since Madison was also posting so much about the situation and supporting all the false accusations, she also received a notice. None of this was done out of spite, nor is it related to the parental rights termination papers. Everything I feel about that situation has been kept completely separate. The cease and desist was simply the smartest move to make. I am not in the business of starting drama, and I was not going to start doing that just because I was stressed out by everything that these particular teens were throwing at me. I thought it through, talked it over with my lawyer, and we moved forward with it. It was quickly revealed that while Claire was not hiding anything online, she had kept her parents in the dark about everything. Maybe it was because we acted before everything spread too much, but we are pretty sure that Claire actively hid the situation from her parents. The same day the cease and desist notice was sent, my lawyer's office received a call from Claire's father, completely confused as to what was happening. They told me it was then when the situation was explained to them. They were legitimately horrified to hear their daughter claim something like this had happened to her. The next day, they came back, asking for my contact information to be able to formally apologize. They spent the night talking with Claire about what had happened and eventually got her to admit that nothing had happened at all. As far as I understand, Claire's parents are busy and don't spend as much time at home as they would like, but they love their daughter and generally have a good relationship with her. Her being good parents was the only reason everything was resolved so quickly. They got Claire to admit that nothing happened, delete all her posts, and offer me an apology in person for the accusations she made, all within the span of a couple of days. When Madison found out Claire had taken everything back, the first thing she did was send me a flurry of text messages, telling me that she had been lied to. She said that Claire had been so convincing, and she never wanted to believe her. But Claire was so upset, and Madison was so overwhelmed that she blindly supported her friend. She said she still believes in always supporting women, and that men are guilty until proven innocent, but she is very happy that I am one of those who have been proven innocent. No apology or even a word of remorse. Only message after message about how she was the real victim here. A few hours after I didn't respond, Madison showed up at my door with her mother behind her. She tried to hug me, but I pulled away. As I made no move to invite her in, she repeated much of what she had said in the messages. When she finished, she simply told me she handed over a copy of the papers she had given me. My signature was on every page. I wanted no room for error, officially terminating my parental rights. I informed her that my lawyer had already filed them, so she didn't have to worry about it, and that I had arranged a moving truck for her things. I didn't have the strength to say anything else, and it wasn't necessary. She simply looked at the papers, threw them to her mother, and ran to the car. Then they left. I guess I can finally put an end to the accusations that I am an irresponsible father once and for all, since by law, I am no longer father. Update 5. I forgot the password to my main account, and well, it's been difficult to recover it. Luckily, I still have this account logged in on my phone. The original posts are on my profile, so if you want, you can read them. If you do, you already know that in my last update a few months ago, Claire, my daughter's friend, was confronted by her parents after they received the cease and desist letter I mentioned. Her parents forced her to apologize to me and delete all her posts. After all the drama caused by what Claire and Madison did, my lawyer suggested that a public apology from Claire would be a good move. This would serve as something to refer to if the situation ever came up again. I'm sure Claire didn't like the idea, but her parents, who are good people, made sure she did it. Despite asking if there was anything else they could do to prevent this from being on her public record, Claire has been grounded practically indefinitely for this incident. Things have progressed as expected, that is to say, they have not progressed. Despite being the one who initiated the termination of my parental rights, Madison flatly refuses to accept that she has been disowned. She has made several attempts to convince me that I still have a responsibility to support her, especially for college, even going so far as to post screenshots of the original conversation in which Claire first accused me, stating that all of her friends and followers were clearly deceived and that Claire is a monster for causing a rift between her and her father. In response, Claire posted the full and uncropped screenshots. These reveal that Madison believed Claire without hesitation and even added fuel to the fire, saying, "I always knew he was a pervert. I always wanted an excuse to ruin her life anyway." My lawyer has copies of all this and was the one who informed me about it. At this point, Steph and Madison can try to sue me or reverse the decision to terminate my parental rights, but with Madison about to turn 18, the time it would take in court and the cost of legal fees, which Steph definitely cannot afford without my money, it is unlikely they will even try. It is safe to say that every day, I am more at peace with my decision. Call me a cruel and horrible father all you want. Steph certainly has. I don't care anymore. She lost her human ATM. Madison lost her inheritance and her college fund. I lost a daughter, but maybe, just maybe, I can gain some peace. If that makes me cruel, then so be it. Update 6. There are things that I didn't mention in my last update because they could have certainly ruined my plans, but now that the whole truth has come to light, it is time to tell what has really been happening. Thanks to some comments and advice from friends, I decided to take a DNA test to verify if Madison really is my daughter. I got close to her lately, but I didn't tell her before because if she found out, she could have refused to get tested. Plus, I knew some people might think I was being soft, and that's why I was trying to make up with her. Anyway, I met up with Madison at a public place to talk, which is the only way I've been meeting her lately. Better safe than sorry. I told her if she really wanted to repair our relationship and maybe get financial support for college or whatever she decided to do after breaking up school, she had to take a DNA test with me. I admit that it was difficult to convince her because if the result came out negative, it would be clear that I would have no more responsibilities towards her. However, I lied to her, telling her that regardless of the result, I would still support her. I know that it was not the best decision, but it was the only way to get the truth. If she wasn't my daughter, I had been cheated on all my life and I at least needed to know. She finally agreed to get tested, and after a few weeks, we got the results. I tried to keep behaving, but after everything that has happened lately, I don't think she was emotionally ready either. When I finally got the result, I cut off all contact with Madison and Steph. I blocked their numbers and eliminated any possibility of communication. Then I contacted my lawyer and we started a paternity fraud trial. I am convinced that Steph knew this from the beginning, and I suspect that Madison knew it too. That is why they both hated me so much. It wasn't simply because Steph wasn't Madison's fault, but because they both conspired to get money from me for all these years. That hatred towards me had another reason behind it. So now we are suing, seeking to recover all the money I gave them during this time. At least something positive came out of this. When they asked me to give up my parental rights, they did it just before Madison turned 18. That means they will at least save a few months when it comes time to give me back my money. Anyway, I don't think this will be a problem for Madison. In the end, if she hated me so much because of her friend's lie that she decided to reject me and my money when she asked me to give up my parental rights, I don't think it will be very different now. I will return when I have news about the trial and the results. Update 7. I want to clarify that all this was never about money. I do not need money to live better. I started this trial because I hate that bad people get away with it. I think that if people fight against these injustices, the world can be a better place, a place with consequences for liars, scammers, and fraudsters. And yes, I have recovered my money. Or, at least, I have started to recover it. The trial was resolved in my favor, and I am satisfied with that result. The key to the case was an ex-friend of Steph who was more than willing to testify that Steph knew he was not the father for some years. At first, I had doubts, but his new partner, it turns out, is Madison's biological father, with whom Steph cheated on me when we were young. Whether Madison knew about this or not, I will never know. It's one of those things that, even if I could find out, their attitude over the years has made it easier for me to emotionally detach myself from her more easily than I imagined. I'm not saying it has been easy, but with everything I've experienced, especially in these last few months, I think it's not surprising. Steph has started paying me part of the money that she owes me for all the years she made me believe that I was Madison's biological father. It's not from the beginning, since we could only prove that she knew it since she confessed it to her ex-friend. However, it's been several years and a good amount of money, at least for her. Madison, if she still had hopes of attending college or fulfilling her plans, will have to find another way of financing because I don't think her mother can help her now. She has her biological father, but from the little that I know about him, it doesn't seem like he's the kind of man with that kind of money. Still, though it may seem like a happy ending to my story, it certainly doesn't feel like one. Of course, it's good news, and in part, I'm glad for the reasons I already mentioned, but that doesn't change how I feel. Now, I guess the next steps will be to find a way to heal, but at least one part of the story comes to an end with those people I once called family. What do you think about this story? Have you ever experienced something similar, or do you know someone who has? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories.